1 second. Let me get we're gonna start off with Matthew 10:34. Shalom Israel, Yahweh Shem Yashar B'Katah. This is the Isupk out of 1 West 125th Street. Since 1969, Harlem, New York. We've been out teaching the truth according to the Bible. All across the nation, in all the camps that we have in the Isupk. Traditionally on Tuesdays, we have the Brotherhood class. What is Brotherhood? Brotherhood or sisterhood. Brotherhood is essentially a catch-all term for love. Love, in particular, the love that we have amongst each other as Black people, Hispanics, and Native Indians. In the Brotherhood class, we show each other how we should love each other or how we should treat one another according to the Bible. According to the Bible, according to God, there are certain ways that we should treat each other as a people. And of course, in America today, we all realize whether you're in the truth or not, whether you have a high level of understanding, whether you're smart or stupid, you understand that Black people, Hispanic people, Native Indian people have a lack of unity, a lack of love, a lack of brotherhood in our community. So we take a day out of the week dedicated to us figuring out how to treat one another. So today, you got that scripture from Matthew 10:34. Today in particular, however, we're gonna get into my bad. 2 Chronicles 14:11. Today in particular, we're gonna get into numbers. Numbers meaning numbers of people, and whether or not that matters to the Most High. Just naturally as a human being, when it comes to what you decide to obey, what you decide to, the way you decided to live your life, or we decide to live our lives as human beings, down to the clothes we wear, the religion that we join, the TV show that we watch, the place we decide to live. There's all the things from simple to complex things. As humans, typically we choose those things because the majority of people are doing it. That's why we have averages. That's why you'll say that the average person makes this type of money, or you'll say the average person is in this religion or live this type of lifestyle. That average is the majority. The majority of people typically all do the same thing, because in a mind of a human, of a person, if a lot of people are doing it, it must be right. If a lot of people are doing it or believing in it, it must be right. You celebrate the 4th of July not because you have a burning desire to be patriotic or to love America. But what you do have a desire to do is to go out and party with everybody else. Everybody else is going out and having fun, and you want to go right along with it. You don't necessarily, if you celebrate Christmas every year, you may have celebrated Christmas every day of your life since you was a child. You don't do that thing because you have a burning desire to worship Jesus or to worship Santa Claus for that matter, but you do have the burning desire to join in the festivities and the fun that everybody else will be partaking in during Christmas time. That's how you make decisions. But according to the Most High, just because a lot of people are doing it doesn't mean the Lord is with it. Just because a lot of people join it or on the side of it does not mean the Most High is with it. Because in our pursuit for the truth, we see many lifestyles and ways of life that are more successful in the sense of membership compared to the truth. If we based out what we follow based upon who all is there and how many people show up, we should be Christians. We should be Muslims. We shouldn't decide to be Israelites. We should decide to let go of our religion, because religion is what's popular, what a lot of people do. So a popularity meant that something was on the side of the Most High. We should all let go of what we're doing right now in Isupk. If you're an Israelite, if you're doing anything that's not, even if you're an Egyptologist or anything that is not popular, we should all throw that down and become a Christian, because that thing is the thing that everybody is doing, so it must be right. We have to understand that the Most High is not picking and choosing based upon what's most popular. The Most High is standing on His laws, His standards, His commandments, and those that follow them and those that He decides to bless, those are the people that are blessed. But He doesn't base them upon popularity. He doesn't choose them based upon their numbers, but their willingness to follow Him, regardless if it's 5 of them or 1 million. The Most High is with who is with Him, and that's what you ultimately have to understand. Now let me start out. Let me get 2 Chronicles 14 and 11.
It's the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 14, verse 11. And Isupk cried unto the Lord his God and said, Lord, it is nothing with thee to help.
This scripture, like I said, 2 Chronicles 14 and 11, and Isupk, this is our traditional camp prayer. Before we go out to camp, we read this prayer, right? And in the scripture, to give you a little backdrop, this is Asa. He was a king over Israel, and I believe he was going into battle against who I forget. I want to say the Syrians, I believe. I could be wrong about that. But he was going into battle. I may be confusing by with another story, but he was going into battle. Going into the battle, he's a king over Israel, and before he went into battle, he prayed unto the Most High. Israelites, we have a culture. We obviously have a culture of following the Most High and trusting in the Most High through all our endeavors. So Asa, before he went into battle, he said this prayer, and in the Isupk, we hold on to the scripture and we say this scripture traditionally before we go to camp, before we go out to teach on the street. Read it from the top.
Second Chronicles chapter 14, verse 11. And Asa cried unto the Lord his God and said, Lord, it is nothing with thee to help.
Asa cried unto the Most High. He said, Lord, it is nothing with thee to help. Asa knew that it was nothing for the Most High to help him. It was a small thing. It was easy for the Most High to give him the victory in this battle, to support him in this battle. Asa didn't pray for more weapons. He didn't pray for more soldiers. He didn't pray for all the material things that you think you need to win a battle. You think in order to win a battle, you got to have a lot of people with you. You have to have bigger guns. You have to be physically stronger. But ultimately, regardless of how many people you have with you, how much weaponry you have, how physically capable you are, how smart and intelligent you are, if the Most High is not with you, you will fail. And Asa, he understood this. Even though he was a king, and he had all the power and the resources, he understood that he needed the Most High on his side in order to achieve his mission, in order to defeat his enemy. Read on. He'll read from the top.
And Asa cried unto the Lord his God and said, Lord, it is nothing with thee to help, whether with many or with them that have no power.
It's nothing for the Most High to help you, whether you have a lot of people or you have no power at all. If you're one man or a million, the Most High can deliver you from your issues. The Most High can give you victory of your enemies. The Most High does not care about how many people you have, because helping you is nothing. The Most High doesn't need to send you reinforcements. The Most High doesn't need to give you more money. He can make your enemies fall right in front of your face without you lifting up a finger. That's the power of the Most High, and that's what the Israelites knew. That's what our forefathers knew. They knew that ultimately they would succeed or fail based upon the Most High's will, based upon them following the Most High. That's what they knew. So in times of need, like right now in the scripture, that's what brothers did. They would pray. They would pray to the Most High because they knew that he could help them regardless of their numbers. Whether they were strong or weak, they knew the Most High could help them. You know?
Help us, O Lord our God, for we rest on thee, and in thy name we go against this multitude. And
Asa said, he said, help us, O God, help us, Most High, help us, Yahweh, for we rest on thee. We are looking for you to help us. And this time we're looking for you to help us because we're going against this multitude. They were going up against a great enemy that may have been greater than they were. And they trusted in the Most High. They didn't cower away and say, "Oh well, it's more of them than there are us. So let's just surrender." They didn't do that. They didn't say, "Well, oh, they got better axes and swords than we have. So let's just surrender. Let's just back away because there's no way that we could defeat them because there's more of them. They're greater in number." They didn't say that. He prayed to the Most High because he knew the Most High could make their numbers mean nothing. Maybe mean nothing at all, as long as the Most High was willing to allow them to win the battle. Read on.
Thou, O Lord, thou art our God. Let not man prevail against thee.
Let not man prevail against thee. Everybody says that they fear the Most High. They don't fear man. They fear God. They don't fear man. But like I said before, ultimately in our decision making, many of us, we show that we believe we believe in man. We believe in man. We trust in man, and we don't trust in the Most High. And this whole foolishness going on with IUIC is what even inspired me to talk about this topic in class.
Right.
Because organizations like that have always been around since human history have always shown that they believe in man but not God. Right. That's why they do all the damn marching and all the displays of, I guess, all the marching, all the displays of, I guess, power or numbers, to show you that look at us, we have a lot of people, so of course you will want to follow us because we have a lot of people. But once again, there are people. A lot of people do a lot of things. Right. A lot of people like to get high. A lot of people like to smoke weed. I watched the BET Awards this past Sunday night. It was a lot of people in the crowd. Right. Should I just drop everything and become a rapper now? Should I just drop everything and become a record producer? Should I make my whole life about that because I turn on the TV and I see a lot of people there? You see people like Joel Osteen and TD Jakes, and the church is full. Should I now let go of what I believe in and believe as they do because they have a lot of people with them? That means nothing. But having a lot of people doesn't necessarily mean that you are evil. I'm not saying that, but it damn sure doesn't guarantee that you're righteous. And to always put on displays to always go to, oh, we have more people see, we have more membership. If that's your reasoning for doing what you do, you trust in man, you trust in numbers, but your faith is not in the Most High. Your faith is not in the Most High because you would abandon the thing you believe in now if less people believed it. If the thing became unpopular and not as successful as far as membership, you wouldn't follow it. And that shows that truly you don't obey that thing. You don't believe in that. You don't join that belief system or that church or that mosque or that Israelite group because you truly have faith and that God is with you. You have faith that there are people around you, and it must be with the Most High because there's so many people there. And that is a very animalistic way to think. It's not spiritual, it's carnal. It's just whatever I can see with my eyes, that's what I believe in, but I don't believe in anything higher. Here in the ISUPK, we believe in not only the carnal thing, but the spiritual thing. The thing that we can't see, that you have to have faith to even work for and work for to achieve. That's the thing. That's the thing that we are striving for to achieve a goal that we can't even see physically. We can't even see physically the kingdom of heaven. Right. We can't even physically see or have a visual example of what it would look like for us to rule the planet Earth, for us to be delivered from our captivity in America. But we fight for it because we trust in the Most High. We don't trust in America's power. We don't trust in America's economic system. We don't trust in their history of winning wars and winning battles. We don't trust in that. We trust in the Most High. So just read that scripture all the way from the top. Just go all the way through 11, just to recap.
And Isupk cried unto the Lord his God and said, Lord, it is nothing with thee to help, whether with many or with them that have no power. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rest on thee, and in thy name we go against this multitude. O Lord, thou art our God. Let not man prevail against thee.
Let not man prevail against thee. Once again, this is a great example showing how numbers don't matter. Numbers don't matter. If as far as in modern day times, if 1 million people join the ISUPK tomorrow, if 1 million brothers and sisters wake up and decide to obey the Most High, obey Christ, here today under command of Junior Honor, we would all rejoice. We would be happy. We wouldn't be like, oh no, it's too many of you. Get out of here. That's not what I'm saying. It's amazing that many of us wake up to the truth. We pray that all of Israel eventually wakes up into the truth and changes their life. But if there's 5 of us in the room, that does not mean the Most High is not with us. And if there's 1 million people in the room, that does not guarantee that the God is with us. What guarantees whether or not the Most High is with us is our fruits, what we produce, what we do, whether or not we are following the Most High. That's what matters. Whether or not we are changing brothers and sisters' lives in the righteous men, righteous women under the Most High. That's what matters. And that can happen with 2 people in the room. You can have 2 people on the face of the earth decide obeying the Most High. Or you can have 1 million. Either way, what those people are doing is what matters, not how many people gather in a room, not how many people march down the street. Let me drop down. So once again, to give you a backdrop on the scripture we just read, this is a brief history. This is Asa. He was a king. He was a king over Judah. So Asa, he rose up after the kingdom had split. He was a king over what we often call the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, parts of Levi. He was one of King David's grandsons, I think, 3 or 4 generations after King David. He went out to battle. And he said this prayer. He said this prayer to for the Most High to help him, even though he may have been in fewer number and may have been weaker than his enemy. He still went out to war, and he trusted in the Most High and had faith that the Most High would give him the victory. So read verse 12. This is the capital.
Verse 12. So the Lord smote the Ethiopians before Asa and before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled. Verse 13. You
can drop that. And the Ethiopians fled. After that prayer, Asa went out, and the Ethiopians were destroyed before him. The Ethiopians were destroyed before him, before the kingdom, and the Most High showed his power. The Most High showed his power and his authority that regardless of the circumstances, if he's with Israel, if he wants Israel to win, they will win. All right, we can drop that. Now let me get Judges 7:2. Judges 7:2. We're gonna get into the story of Gideon and the battle he had. Yeah, you got like you read it what you got.
This is the book of Judges, chapter 7, verse 2. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites in their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me.
So Gideon was a judge of Israel. Before we had kings in Israel, we had a culture of judges. So people who just certain men throughout the kingdom or throughout the tribes who had power and authority to delegate different affairs. So if you had an issue or a problem, if you want to figure something out, you would go to these judges, and the judges will make judgments about who was right and who was wrong. The judges will also go out and they would defend Israel and organize armies and fight battles against heathen nations. So Gideon, he was a judge of Israel. Let me get with you. In the earlier history of Israel before we had kings. Now read that from the top one more time.
There's the book of Judges, chapter 7, verse 2. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands.
So in this time, Israel was going to fight a battle against the Midianites. Going against the Midianites to take over our homeland and establish our homeland, right? So, and leading up to this battle, the Most High came to Gideon and told him, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands. So the people so Gideon, he had a large army with him. He had a large group of men ready to go fight and conquer the Midianites. But the Most High said that the amount of men he had was too many men. It was too many people for the Most High to just let them walk in and destroy the Midianites. Read on.
Lest Israel vaunt themselves against me.
Lest Israel vaunt themselves against me. What does that mean? That means that the Most High, he was worried that he knew. So I ain't gonna say that. The Most High knew that if Israel was in great number, had a great exceeding army, and would go into the Midianites, destroy the Midianites, and take over their land, he knew that the Israelites would give themselves the credit for the battle. He knew that in the mind of the men that fought that battle, they won because they were powerful. They themselves were physically strong, physically powerful. They were great in number, and that's why they won the battle. The Most High didn't want them to vaunt themselves above him. The Most High wanted everybody to understand that if Israel won the battle, it was because the Most High wanted Israel to win the battle. Read on.
Saying, mine own hands have saved me.
Once again, mine own hands have saved me. The Most High knew that if we went in and defeated the Midianites, we would say, my own hands have saved me. I saved myself, not the Most High. The Most High didn't give me the victory. The Most High didn't protect me on that battlefield, but I protected myself. My own hands won the battle. Read on.
Verse 3. Now therefore go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart from Mount Gilead. And there return of the people 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000.
And there remained 10,000. So what the Most High did, so what Gideon did, he was ordered by the Most High to go amongst the people and just say, whoever's fearful, whoever doesn't want to go out in the battle because they're scared of death, they think they might die, you go home. So what Gideon, so being that the Most High said that he wants the lesser amount of men so he can get the glory, and that Israel knows that he was on their side and that's why they won the battle. What Gideon went to do is just to find reasons to get rid of people. He went into the army. He went into the men he had with him, and he just went to go find excuses, find reasons to get rid of the men. Read that verse again. Read verse 3 again.
Verse 3. Now therefore go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart from Mount
Gilead,
and there returned to the people 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000.
So they started off with 22,000 men. They started off with an army of 22,000 men. That's a great number of people. Gilead, he went out and told them, if you're scared, leave. If you're scared to die, if you're fearful, if you don't really want to do this, if you don't really want to be here, leave. And they start off with 22,000, and they were doing just by him doing that, just by telling if he was scared, just leave. He had 10,000, so he cut it in more than half. He went from 22,000 to 10,000 men. 10,000 is still a great amount of people, but he cut it in almost half just by asking whoever was fearful to leave. Now let's get down to verse 4.
Verse 4. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many.
And the Most High, he looked at those 10,000 men and he said, it's still too many of them. It's still too many men for me to get the glory, for everybody to know that it was me who delivered you this victory. Read on.
Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And of whomsoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. Verse 5.
So the Most High said, once again, the 10,000 is still too many. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the men down to the water, and we're going to try the men. And after what happens, I'll tell you who I want to go, and I'll tell you who I want to leave and not go into battle. So the way this is broken down to me in the past, you can infer these are men in the military. These are men in the army about to go out and fight. So you can infer that Gideon was training these men, making them run and swing the sword and fight and train in the preparation for battle. So they would have been tired. They would have been traveling from place to place on the way to the battle. They would have been tired. They would have been in need of a drink of water, as you do as you go and exercise and go fight, right? So read on.
Verse 5. So he brought down the people unto the water, and the Lord said unto Gideon, every one that lappeth of the water with his tongue, as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. So they brought the men down to the water, and the Most High told them, every man that lappeth in the water like a dog. So a dog, when a dog drinks water, he put his face in the water and licks up the water or sucks up the water. Every man that when they get down to that water just falls their face into the water and drinks the water, let him go. Whoever does that, let him go, let him leave. Read on. Likewise, everyone that boweth down upon his knees to drink. Verse 6, and the number of those
but likewise, the people that you're gonna let stay and let go into battle are the men that get down on one knee and pick up the water to their face. So somebody who's at that water, still looking around, observing their surroundings, still having a little bit of dignity about how they look, and gather that water up from the water. That brother, those people, you're gonna let them go into battle. Read on.
Verse 7. And the Lord said unto Gideon,
verse 6.
And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water.
Read on.
Verse 7. And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lack, will I save you.
So by the 300 men that didn't just fall into the water, those men are the men that were going to go into battle, go into war. So they start off with 22,000 people, a great army that I'm sure could have easily taken over, destroyed the Midianites, and then nobody would have doubted that they could have done it. And they got it all the way, and they tested the men, and they tried the men, and they got it down to 300 people, and that was the amount of people. And the Most High said, "We're going to take this amount of people, and we're going to go into war." Where we at? 1 second. You read verse 7 again.
And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lack, will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thy hand, and let all the other people go, every man unto his place. Verse 8. So the people took victuals in their hand and their trumpets, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man unto his tent, and retained those 300 men. And the host of Midian was beneath him in the valley.
So they sent everybody else away, sent them to go into their tents, into their homes, to stay out of the battle. And those 300 men that didn't lap like a dog at the water, they prepared to go into battle. And the Midianites were, imagine. What is it? Slow again. And imagine Israel was encamped on a hill, and the Midianites were down the hill into the valley. And those 300 men, they prepared to go down that valley and to fight against the Midianites. Read on.
Verse 9. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, Arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered it into thy hand.
Read on.
Verse 10. But if thou fear to go down, go thou with Purah, thy servant, down to the host. Verse 11. And thou shalt hear what they say, and afterwards shall thine hands be strengthened to go down unto the host. Then went he down with Purah, his servant, unto the outside of the armed men that were in the host.
It's like, for time's sake, we're going to stop there. But you can get more into the story in the Battle of Gideon. And what ultimately happened was that with these 300 men, the Most High gave the victory to these men. These 300 men, even though they weren't the 22,000 that they started off as, these men were able to conquer and destroy their enemies, destroy the Midianites. And so what does this story tell you? Well, what is it showing you about the spirit of the Most High and about Israelite culture? What is this telling you? It's telling you obviously one thing from the perspective of the Most High. It's showing you that from the Most High's perspective, he wants to always get the glory for your success. The Most High wants you to know and understand that you would only be successful if he is on your side. Because rest assured, if 22,000 men go to war and they win, everybody will think, well, of course they did win because there were 22,000 of them. It's easy to win a battle when it's thousands of you going to war. And nobody would give the Most High the credit. Nobody would give the God of the Israelites, the power of the Israelites, the credit for their victory, but they would give it to the Israelites themselves, meaning they would give it to their military power, give it to their numbers. That's where the credit would lie in, but not in the power of the Most High. The Most High wants to always get the credit. So what you see is he'll put his power in the underdog. He'll make a miracle happen where the Israelites will have their backs against the wall, and logically they shouldn't win. Logically, you shouldn't be able to win the battle with 300 men. But the Most High makes sure the army is small, make sure we look weak, make sure it seems like we shouldn't win, and then assures that we do win. And through that miracle and through that conquering of the Midianites by only 300 men, everybody knows that the only way they could have achieved this is with the Most High on their side. Everybody knows and understands without any explanation that the only way they could have achieved this is by a miracle. It's by God being on their side. That's the Most High's perspective. His perspective is that He wants the glory, so He'll make it seem, He'll make you appear weak, or make you seem weak, make you seem like you aren't strong, just so He can bless you, and you achieve it, and everybody knows it was because He blessed you. Now, from our perspective in Israelite culture, we know that ultimately we win because the Most High is on our side. We know that's what it comes down to. We don't win because we have more men. We don't win because we have less men. We win because the Most High is the ultimate decider of who wins and who loses. The Most High decides life and death. He's the ones who makes these major decisions. He's the ones who decides whether or not we succeed or fail as a people. And as an Israelite, as a black man, a Hispanic woman, a Native American man or woman, we should always understand that our success hangs on our adherence to the laws, statutes, and commandments in the Bible. Our success hangs on, life and death hangs on whether or not you follow the Most High. There's nothing you can do. You can try hard. You can study. You can work out. You can do all the research. You can go to school or work hard, hustle, grind, do all types of things. But ultimately, you are only successful if God wants you to be. So in order to make your election sure, in order to ensure that you do succeed, that you do make the strides that you want to in life, you must obey the Most High. You must obey God to assure that you are successful. If not, you taking a chance. If not, you taking a gamble. You're going out there with 22,000 men, but if the Most High isn't with you today, you'll lose. You're going out there with all the weaponry. You're going out there with the best trained military. You're going out there and you look great, but if the Most High doesn't want you to win, you will lose. And that's what we have to understand from these examples. That regardless of our numbers, regardless of our numbers, regardless of what we're going through, we must obey the Most High, and He will give us the victory, just like He did in many examples throughout the Bible. Let me get on, and also let me grab 1 Corinthians 21:1. So like not Corinthians, Chronicles, I believe it is. So like Chronicles 21:1. Also, what does the story of Gideon tell you? It tells you that the Most High, He doesn't believe in numbers, but the Most High does believe in is quality over quantity. That's what the Most High believes in. That's what God stands for. He doesn't care how many of them you are. He cares whether or not you are a dedicated soldier. He cares whether or not you are willing to obey Him. The Most High doesn't want thousands of people who are weak. He doesn't want thousands of people who are sinners. He wants thousands of people who are dedicated soldiers willing to sacrifice their life in order to follow Him. Right. That's what the Most High believes in. He doesn't believe in just having a lot, because a lot that doesn't ensure morality. It doesn't ensure you're doing the right thing to succeed. Right. Let me get First Chronicles 21. Let's start at 21:1.
It's the book of First Chronicles, chapter 21, verse 1. And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel.
So Satan, he stood up against Israel and provoked David. We're from the top again, Salami.
And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. Verse 2.
He provoked Satan. Satan is used as a test. The whole notion that we have from the Christian church is that Satan is opposed to the Most High, or Satan is the Most High's enemy. But that's a Christian myth. Of course, if you study the scriptures, and especially if you study the book of Job, you'll see that Satan is used as a way to test men, to test women, to test us, to see whether or not we will decide to obey the Most High, trust in Him, follow Him, or to trust in Satan, or trust in disobeying the Most High. That's all Satan is. All Satan is an obstacle that the Most High puts in your way to see whether or not you are truly loyal to the Most High. Read from the top one more time. So like,
and Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. Verse 2.
And he provoked David to number Israel. What does that tell you? It tells you that being that Satan provoked David to number Israel, number meaning to count Israel, to see how many of us there were. It tells you that the Most High didn't want us to be numbered. He didn't want David to number us. He didn't want David to once again to trust in how many people we were, to trust in our millions of numbers, or thousands of numbers. Read on.
Verse 2. And David said to Joab and to the rulers of the people, go number Israel from Beersheba even to Dan, and bring the number of them to me, that I may know it. Verse 3.
So Joab, I believe he was like one of the military leaders under King David, right? And he ordered Joab and other rulers of the people, other military leaders and chiefs over the tribes, and he ordered them to go out to number the people. David was provoked. He had a thought in his mind that he should, for whatever reason or other, that he should go out and number the Israel, count how many people there were in the nation, even though he knew it was out of the spirit, even though he knew that the Most High would not want him to trust in those numbers and to base how strong they are upon how many people they have. Read on.
Verse 3. And Joab answered, the Lord make his people 100 times so many more as they be. But my lord the king, are they not all my Lord's servants? Why then doth my Lord require this thing? So
when Joab was ordered this by King David, Joab said, the Lord make his people 100 times so many more as they be. But so Israel, we have grown. There's a lot of us. We're great in number. However, my Lord the king, are they not all my Lord's servants? So essentially, yeah, we may have a lot of people, but aren't we? And you may want to know the exact number of who we have in the kingdom, but are we not all the Lord's servants? Isn't the Most High with us, regardless of our numbers, regardless of how big we are? Isn't the Most High on our side? And shouldn't that be the end all be all? Shouldn't we not worry about how many people we have, but whether or not the Lord is with us? That was Joab's argument. You know.
Why will he be a cause of trespass to Israel? Verse 4. Nevertheless, the king's words prevailed against Joab.
So, but nevertheless, King David, he was a king, and he had the final say. So even though Joab tried to rationalize with him and tried to get King David to err on the side of faith, err on the side of trusting in the Most High and not our numbers, King David ultimately he was the one to make the decision. So his order was followed. You know.
Wherefore Joab departed and went throughout all Israel and came to Jerusalem. Verse 5. And Joab gave the sum of the number of the people unto David, and all they of Israel were 1,000 and 100,000 men that drew sword, and Judah was 460 and 10,000 men that drew sword. Verse 6. But Levi and Benjamin counted he not among them, for the king's words was abominable to Joab.
Let me look up this number. The first, I'm not sure I'm calculating it right. We know that they had this for the second class. We know they had 400,000. 403 square something. 1 second, let me count this number. But the point is, they went out and they counted. They counted the great numbers of Israel at the time. Let me see if I can find. Let me see. I ain't gonna take too long about it. They went out and they counted the great numbers of Israelites at the time, and they reported back. They reported back these numbers, but however, they didn't get the number of what is it? Levi and Benjamin counted he not among them, for the king's words were. So Joab, they got some of all the leaders of Israel got some of the numbers out of who all was in Israel, but specifically they didn't get Levi and Benjamin. I believe because Joab, he was going to go out specifically to Levi and Benjamin to get their census, to get how many of them there were. But Joab, he did disobey the order. He didn't do it because he knew it was wrong.
Right.
Well, 1 second. Let me see if I can get there. It was first. What was it? First Chronicles. Joab got this. 21:5. That's what I thought. There was the thousand is talking about is about 1,100,000 men, and the other number was that. 1 second. The 400,000 three score. 470,000 in Judah. So those numbers are about about a million and a half people, about a million and a half out of the majority of the tribes. And once again, they didn't get the number of Levi and Benjamin because Joab just disobeyed the order because he knew it was out of the spirit. He knew that King David wasn't trusting in the Most High, but he was trusting in the numbers of their army, of their military. This once again is not. They didn't count the entire. They didn't count all the women, all the children, all the men, but they carried all the men who were of military age, that could go out and fight if need be for war. Read on. You can start at verse 6.
Verse 6. But Levi and Benjamin counted me not among them, for the king's word was abominable to Joab. Verse 7. And God was displeased with this thing. Therefore he smote Israel. So the Most High,
he was displeased with this thing. Once again, he knew that David was trusting in his numbers. David was trusting in how powerful his military was. But he was not trusting that the Most High would protect him. That the Most High, if they had to go to war or if they were attacked, he wasn't trusting that the Most High would protect them. But he was trusting in the fact that he had millions of soldiers. He had thousands of soldiers, and so that's what he was hoping that would protect him. But ultimately, the Most High would bring destruction or bring blessings. And because King David didn't trust in him, the Most High smote. He brought punishments upon all of Israel for King David's lack of faith. Read on.
Verse 8. And David said unto God, I have sinned greatly, because I have done this thing. But now I beseech thee, do away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly. And through the destruction that was coming down on Israel, I'm not sure if it says specifically what the destruction was. Let me read down a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure specifically what it was, but it could have been anything. It could have been a disease, an attack from another enemy, famine, anything like that. But just know that it was something that was big enough for all of Israel to be affected by it. The general population to be affected by it. In King David's era, he knew and understood that the Most High was against him, and that he sinned against the Most High and had lack of faith by counting the men, and he eventually repented to the Most High. And if you read on, you'll see the process of how the Most High began to
have mercy on him for what he did. We're not going to get to the whole story. But once again, the point is that the Most High never wants us to trust in numbers, but to ultimately trust in him. Give me 2 Kings 6 and 8. 2 Kings 6 and 8. So once again, this is the Brotherhood class. So you might be reading this, you might be listening to this breakdown and think that you may assume that you shouldn't, care about people following the Most High, or care about your brothers and your sisters following the Most High. Of course, that's not what I'm saying. That's not our stance in ISUBK. Although we don't trust the numbers, we do hope that brothers and sisters do come into the school in great number, because these are people. These are millions of our brothers and sisters who are not obeying the Most High. Many of them suffering for it, and we would love for them to come in. But ultimately, in the ISUBK, we want people around us that obey the Most High, that obey the Most High and have the same faith that we do. We all want to have the same faith that ultimately we succeed because the Most High does. Ultimately, we succeed because we decide to follow the stat law, statutes, and commandments. We succeed because we decide to deny ourselves drug addiction, deny ourselves pills and weed and cocaine. We deny ourselves alcoholism. Our women deny themselves a lifestyle of being a whore. Our men deny themselves the lifestyle of being a homosexual, of being a murderer, of being a criminal and a thug. We decide to change our life, and we trust in the Most High that He will bless us if we obey Him. And those are the people that ultimately we want to come into the ISUBK. But we will never just solely fight to have as many numbers as possible. Because when you begin to, and here's the thing, when you begin to trust in numbers, when you begin to think that all that matters is that a lot of people join your organization, join your church, join your school, you begin to compromise on your belief system. You begin to change things, and that's what we see in so many of these fake Israelite groups. We see people who begin to bend the rules to begin to start these heresies and to change long-held beliefs and practices because they want to have more people in their organization. And IUIC is a perfect example of that. When you see IUIC, all you are seeing is somebody saying, how can I take the ISUBK or how can I take being an Israelite and make it more palatable to Christians? And that's all IUIC is. IUIC is, when I see it, I can see this is basically an organization that if you are a Christian, if you're a Christian that doesn't really like white people that much. If you're a Christian that, got some qualms with white people, this is a very easy transition. They got all the singing and the dancing that you want. They're very family friendly. They don't dress in a very intimidating way. They talk very soft and nice to you. They don't wear the shield. They don't wear the shield. So when you walking down the street, a so-called Jewish man that doesn't question you to death about you having a shield on and being a black man. They just do things to make it an easier transition from out of the church, and they compromise on their belief. Another thing, a man isn't allowed to have more than one wife. That makes it a whole lot easier for women to come into your organization if you don't allow men to have more than one wife. That makes it a lot more comfortable for them. If you compromise on your belief systems, it's easier for people to join you, and because you made it easier for them to do it. You made it an easy change. They don't have to sacrifice as much to join you. They can hold on to a lot of their traditions, hold on to a lot of their thought processes, and still believe that they have changed. Still believe that they have came into the knowledge and came into the truth. When all they're really doing is just a watered down version of what we read about in the Bible. A watered down version of what was laid down in 1969 by the seventh head. What was laid down with something that is truly unique, truly unseen before, and they take it and they just make it commercial. Make it commercial and make it easy for people to follow. But the problem is when you begin to compromise on your belief system, what you'll find is behind closed doors, you just become a sinner. Right. But behind closed doors, you just become a thief, a murderer, a rapist, You have sex with trannies, and these are all things that have actually happened in IUIC. I'm not just saying that to be provocative. Behind closed doors, you will actually be a homosexual, even though you appear to be on the side. You try to appear to be on the side of the Most High. Behind closed doors, you will actually be a thief and a con artist. You will actually be a murderer, and you will actually have a lust for prostitutes and trannies. Those are the things that go on in the IUIC, go on in every church, and go on in every mosque all across the country, because these are people who, although their religion is palatable to the masses, it's easier or more easy for the average person to join these religions, get into these belief systems, even though it appears to the average person, relatively harmless. Or more, at least less harmless than being in the ISUBK. Right. Relatively harmless. Behind closed doors, there's much destruction, child molestation, hatred for one another is rampant. But they on a surface they appear nice. The ISUBK we're the exact reverse. On the outside we seem terrible. On the outside we seem terrible and rough and rude and just not nice. We look dangerous on the outside, right? But on the inside, we have an extremely high moral standard. We not only tell men to follow the Most High, to follow the law, statutes, and commandments, but we do it ourselves. We hold our own members accountable if and when they make mistakes. Right. You can get kicked out of the school. Right. You can be punished. The ISUBK, although we're not at the average eye, we're not palatable, meaning we're not that inviting. That's okay, because regardless of whether or not you're inviting or how nice your suit is or your purple garment is, what matters is whether or not you follow the Most High. And that's what all it comes down to. Being masculine or being rough around the edges is more or less irrelevant. What matters is whether or not you follow the Most High. And what you'll find is, though, when you hold on to your masculinity, when you hold on to a spirit of warfare, even if you aren't really evil, even if you aren't like these churches molesting kids and stealing everybody's money and being a con artist and hating your brother on the inside and hating your sister on the inside, even if you are truly righteous, most people are too foolish to actually figure that out. Most people are too foolish to actually figure out and realize just because I like the way it looks doesn't mean it's good for me. Most people are just stupid. Most people are stupid, and they see purple, and they see somebody talking nice to them, or they see a suit and a tie, and they hear a nice dance. They hear a nice dance in a song, or they hear what a lot of people have to say, and they assume that is the truth instead of examining things for what they are. Ultimately, you don't want to do something because it looks nice. You don't want to do something because there are a lot of people join it, but you want to do it because you analyzed it and realized that this thing is on the side of the Most High. This thing is what the Bible is telling me to do. All right, let me get a couple more scriptures. We're going to get you might have it already, 2 Kings 6 and 8. Let's get it there real quick.
2 Kings chapter 6, verse 8. Then the king of Syria warred against Israel and took counsel with his servants, saying, in such a place shall be my camp. Verse 9.
So once again, we're going to show you another battle that the Israelites went through. All throughout our history, we fought battles against other nations. Were defeated in battle, were overcome. Many times we also succeeded in battle and conquered and won over our enemies. So we're going to read that from the top. Right now we're talking about the Syrians. Read from the top.
Verse 6. Verse 8. And the king of Syria warred against Israel and took counsel with his servants, saying, in such a place shall be my camp. Verse 9. And the man of God sent unto the king of Israel, saying, beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down.
So the king of the Syrians, he wanted to conquer the Israelites. He wanted to fight against the Israelites, right? So they planned on setting up like a post son of a military outlet, in a specific place, where they would go there and they would plot on how to attack the Israelites, right? But on the side of the Israelites was the Most High, and the Most High had a man of God. He had a prophet or a seer, somebody who could know what was going on, because the Most High gave him a vision or the understanding of what was going on. And this man of God told the king of Israel, don't go to the specific area. Don't come here, because when you go here, the Syrians are going to ambush you. You're going to be attacked by the Syrians. And he knew, and the man of God knew this without being there. He knew this without being in the room with the king of the Syrians and hearing this. He knew this because the Most High gave it to him. The Most High gave him this knowledge. Read verse 9 from the top.
Verse 9. And the man of God said unto the king of Israel, saying, beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down.
Don't go to the specific area, because the Syrians are going to attack you. Read on.
Verse 10. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of God told him, and warned him of, and saved himself there, not once nor twice.
Read on.
Verse 11. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing. And he called his servants and said unto them, will ye not shew me which of us is for the king of Israel?
So what happened was the king of Israel, he went by, more than likely with men with him. He avoided this place. He avoided the place where the Syrians were encamped, and he avoided being conquered and killed by being attacked by them. And it's happened multiple times. It's happened multiple times where the Syrians were ready to pounce on him, but he was able to avoid it because of what the man of God told him. And so it happened multiple times. So the king of Syria, he consulted with his men, and he said, "What's that person again?" It's he said, "Will ye not show me which of us is for the king of Israel?" The king of Syria, he's assuming that the king of Israel must have like a mole. He must have a spy amongst the Syrians. He's assuming that because he's saying things in private and the Israelites are able to avoid it, that somebody who's in these private meetings is going to the king of Israel and telling him, "Hey, don't come here because we're supposed to attack you here. Don't go there because we're supposed to attack you here." He's assuming that's what's going on. So he goes to his men and says, "Which one of y'all is on the side of the king of the Israelites? Which one of y'all is snitching and telling to the Israelites our plans?" Read verse 12.
Verse 12. And one of his servants said, "None, my lord, O king."
And he said, None of us are snitching and telling the Israelites are on their side and giving them information as to when we're going to attack them. Read on.
But Elisha, the prophet, that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that speakest in thy bedchamber.
But he said, none of us. When one of the king's servants said, none of us are telling anybody anything. But Elisha is telling the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedchamber. So all the things he says in private that nobody knows about but them, those words are going to Elisha through the Most High. Elisha is prophesying, telling his king what will happen and how to avoid the attacks of the Syrians. Read on.
Verse 13. And he said, "Go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him." And it was told him, saying, "Behold, he is in Dothan."
Go. You know.
Verse 14. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host, and they came by night and compassed the city about.
So the king of Syria, he went out and he set out on a mission to go get Elisha. Once he heard about a prophet that was giving up all the information, he went out to go get Elisha, to go confront him. Read on.
Verse 15. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do?
So the king of Syria, he came into the city that Elisha was in, and he came with an army. He didn't come, to talk about it. He came to bring some death upon Elisha, because he knew Elisha was the reason that he wasn't able to go to kill the king of Israel, right? And he came to the city, and they encompassed the city. The army he had with him, they surrounded the city. And the servant of Elisha, one of his servants that followed Elisha, he went out and he saw this army. He saw this great army that the Syrians had brought to come and kill Elisha. Read on.
Verse 16. And he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them.
So mind you, it's just in this conversation, it's just Elisha and his servant. There's two people. It is two people sitting in the city, and they look out. You can imagine they look out, from their tent or from their home, and they see that it's a great army that's coming to get them. It's coming to kill them. And of course, the servant, he's worried about it. So he tells his master, he tells the prophet, he tells Elisha that they're out there and they're ready to kill us. But Elisha Elisha tells him to fear not. Don't fear that military out there. For they that be with us are more than they that be with them. Even though it was two of them right there in this conversation, Elisha told them that we have more on our side. We're more powerful than them. We have more military on our side. Read on.
And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw.
And Elisha, he prayed that the Most High would show his servant, show the young man what he could see. Obviously, like we said before, Elisha, he had a higher level of spiritual understanding, and the Most High opened his eyes up to much. And Elisha prayed to the Most High that young man could see what he could see. Read on.
Right.
And the Most High granted his wishes. The Most High answered his prayer and allowed that young man to see what Elisha could see. Read on.
And he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha.
And round about where they stood, all around them, there was chariots of fire, full of horses, full of horses round about Elisha. There was an army of angels. There was otherworldly spiritual beings around Elisha that the young man couldn't see. He couldn't see with his own eyes, but Elisha could see him, and the Most High showed him. The Most High showed them that even though they were in dire straits, they're back against the wall, possibly about to get slaughtered by the king of Syria in another realm, another dimension that at least that young man couldn't see. The Most High had an army ready to destroy the Syrians. And once again, this goes to show that you must have faith in the Most High, because He can work miracles. He can. We all claim to believe in the Most High. Then why would we have faith in anything else besides Him? We all claim to believe in Him and love God and love Jesus. Why are we trusting in money so much? Right. Why are we trusting in in manpower and who we have and who we don't have, and all these worldly resources? We should trust in our ability to obey the Most High and His ability to destroy our enemies and to protect us. Because there are things that we can't see, things that we can't understand. We're dealing with the ultimate power in the universe as we know it. The ultimate power who has control over life and death, everything as we know it. He has control. And He can do things that we just don't understand, that we can't see. He can bring destruction and bring salvation in a way that we just don't understand. Read on.
God, verse 18. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Lord and said, Smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha.
We're going to stop there for this story. But the Most High, Elisha prayed to the Most High to smite them with blindness. And the Most High smote these men with blindness. He smote them with blindness. And so Elisha could, so they wouldn't, so they would get, you can read on the story, but basically they got distracted and wasn't able to attack Elisha and kill Elisha, the servant. So once again, these two men, Elisha, he knew better than the average man. He knew that the Most High was with him, and he could see things that most men couldn't. And he realized that the Most High had an army and military on his side that could fight his battles for him. All right, let me get two more. Luke 10 and 2. Luke 10 verse 2.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 2. Therefore said unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few.
The harvest truly is great. In the work of the Lord that we do here in the Isupk, the harvest is plenty. The harvest, so often in the Bible you'll see like farm metaphors or agriculture metaphors. Israel was a people that like many people at that time in human history, that had cattle, had land, grew crops, things of that nature. So many of the ways that the prophets often in the New Testament as well would relate to the people or relate to whoever they were teaching, that Christ would often teach. He would use those type of metaphors that they could understand. So read from the top one more time.
Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great.
The harvest truly is great. So once again, in the work of the Lord, we're going out, we're harvesting. What are we doing about our harvest? What is a harvest? A farmer goes out, the crops grow, and the farmer goes out and harvests the crops. So he got a giant field of corn, and it might be a huge, humongous field of corn, and the farmer, he got to go out and he got to pick all that corn. There's a lot of corn. It's a giant field, acres and acres of land full of corn. So the farmer, he goes out and harvests, and that harvest, that corn is plentiful. There's plentiful. Us in Isupk, us as prophets and priests today in these modern day times, in this American empire, we're the farmers. We're the farmers. What is the harvest, however? The harvest is the people. That's what we're not out gathering corn or crops, but we are out gathering people. We're gathering people to teach them to come into the truth, to serve the Most High. That's our harvest, the people. The harvest is great. There's many people out there that don't know they're an Israelite, but are. There's millions of black people, Hispanics, Native Indians who are completely lost as to who they are according to the Most High and what they should be doing with their life according to the Most High. Those are a dime a dozen. You can walk outside, you can throw a rock and you can hit two of them. You can throw a rock, you can hit 5 people that don't know that they're an Israelite but are, right? It's a lot of them. Read from the top.
Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great.
Read on.
But the laborers are few. The harvest is giant. There's many people out here that need to come into the truth. They need to wake up to their identity as an Israelite. However, the farmers, the laborers, the people who are going to go out and do the work to wake those people up, those people are very few. Those people are very few, and that was always an issue from in crisis times till now. There are many people who are lost, but very few people who are willing to wake others up. Very few people who are willing to go out and wake brothers and sisters up. Read on. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he would send forth laborers into his harvest.
And so pray to the Most High that He send in laborers, send in brothers and sisters, send specifically men who are willing to go out and harvest the field, willing to go out and harvest the crops, willing to go out and search and find those brothers and sisters to come into the school and teach them the truth. Right. The issue of not having a lot of people or the truth being unpopular isn't a new thing. It's kind of it comes with the territory, so to speak. That was a problem in crisis times. In crisis times, it wasn't a resounding. It wasn't like a majority of the people, a resounding amount of people that were with Christ teaching others. That's not what was going on. Christ and his disciples were in the far minority, but that does not change the fact that Christ was on the side of the Most High. Nobody that that believes in the Bible denies that Christ was on the side of the Most High. Everybody knows that, but Christ was not popular. Christ was not popular. Christ was not widely loved and widely accepted. If he was widely loved and accepted, he wouldn't have been murdered. He wouldn't have became a martyr. People who become martyrs aren't necessarily the most popular. They may have some followers, some people who know the truth. Some people on their side, but ultimately, a martyr is killed and destroyed because they aren't popular, because they threaten the powers that be. They threaten the status quo, and that was Christ and that was his disciples. They were revolutionary. They were revolutionary, although they were small, and although they prayed for more men to come and join them, then they were still on the side of the Most High doing something that was rare during that time. So like one last one on the topic. Let me find it right quick. I ain't write down. What's that scripture? One last one before we head up out of here. There's another classic Isupk precept on the topic of numbers, power, and as it relates to carnality, as it relates to things that are physical, and how those things don't really matter to the Most High. Most High. Deuteronomy 7 and 7. Deuteronomy 7 and 7.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 7. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people.
The Most High did not choose Israel because we were great in number or more in number than anybody else. Right. We know in the Isupk that the Israelites were chosen. The Most High decided to make his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to bear a nation of people out of those men. The Most High, he's the Most High. He could have chose anybody. He could have chose Ishmael. He could have chose Ham or Japheth. Or he could have chose somebody else that didn't come from Adam. Or he could have chose anybody or any lineage of people to be his people, to be the Israelites, or to be he could have made the Ishmaelites the God chosen people, and we would be reading about them. But he decided to pick this one specific group of people. He decided to build his nation out of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Read that from the top again.
The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people. He didn't choose
Jacob, or he didn't choose Jacob's family because they were great in number, or they were greater than any of the people. Just so you know, when Israel went into Egypt, it was about, I believe, 70 people went into Egypt. That's how big the nation was at that time. When you're reading about the story of Israel, at least in the early days, in the first few books in the Old Testament, you are reading about a small group of people. You're reading about really not even really a race of people, really a family. Really, not even, you can't even really call it like a ethnic group or a race of people. You're reading about a family, a small family, or a small or relatively large, depending on what you think. But a family of people. That's who we're reading about. The Most High didn't choose us because we were a great and exceeding people with a great kingdom and a great empire. That's not what He chose us. He didn't choose us because we had a lot of numbers and a lot of power or had more power than somebody else. That's not why He chose us. Read on.
For ye were the fewest of all people.
But not only did He not choose us because we were great in number, but furthermore, we weren't the greatest in number. We were at the exact bottom. We were the fewest of all people. Read on.
Verse 8. But because the Lord loved you, and because He would keep the oath which He has sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
But the Most High, He loved Israel.
Right.
He loved Israel. He saw something in Israel worthy of preserving, worthy of giving a chance. And the Most High is a just God, a just power. And He decided to keep His covenant that He made with our forefathers.
Right.
That's why the Most High chose Israel, not because we were mighty and powerful. If that was the case, He could have chose the Egyptians. He could have chose, Ishmael. He could have chose somebody else, any of these other nations that were more powerful than us, did have more people. But He chose this one small family. This one small family that went into Egypt, 70 people. That's who He decided to join. He decided to give His commandments to, give His covenants to the people that were the least, the smallest nation. That's who He decided to make His deal with. That's who He decided to love. And you should remember that any time when you begin to trust in numbers, when you begin to trust in a gun, when you begin to trust in money, when you begin to trust in things that are truly carnal, and on the grand scheme mean nothing. What ultimately matters is whether or not the Most High is with you,
Right.
Whether or not He is choosing you, whether or not He's on your side. That is what matters, and that's what we always should remember. And we should cleave to the brothers and sisters who follow God, not the brothers and sisters who are popular, not the brothers and sisters who necessarily want to join, but we should join together with brothers who are like-minded, brothers and sisters who are like-minded, brothers and sisters who want to and do obey the Most High under Christ. And with that, I'm gonna pass it over to Precinct Officer Quadras Zachariah. What's up here? Announcement.
Security announcements. We are at Isupk, start at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Meaning 10th in the Hebrew. Ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests. Not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you will like. Upcoming holy convocations. This is the memorial.
I'm not. I'm going back away for the new account. I'm not sure. Man. It's not one for a while though.
Remind Akim and Aqua to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. With that, Amadi, Israel, Amadi Shabbat, Amadi, Rock,
Yahweh Shimmy Yahweh Shah Bagatha.
What's next, sir?
You tell the sisters Imagine.
Sisters Amadi, you can stand.
And then Sar, men of Israel, Sar, turn to face the sisters.
Men of Israel, sorry, face the sisters.
You start from the top.
All right. Do we tell them do they go?
Yeah, if we have physical sisters in the room, yeah, you tell them Imagine Shabbat.
Kind of time. Men of Israel, Amadi Shabbat, Amadi, Barak,
Yahweh Shema Thug by Shimmy Yahweh Shah. Yajim Matah.
Gajimata, that's dismissed.